All right, again, super excited to show you Hobby Flipper. Again, the purpose of Hobby Flipper is aligned with the purpose of nooffseason.com to help you find the right card for the right player at the right time and to help you make money flipping sports cards. As such, Hobby Flipper doesn't compete with Market Movers or Card Ladder in terms of the number of cards it tracks. We're really just focused on a specific amount of cards, say 5 to 10,000 total cards that are going to help you make money flipping sports cards. I'm super excited to show you the card details pages. And, I think in order to do that, we got to start on the card details pages. In order to do that, we got to start on the movements page because the movements page essentially is your main way of getting into each of the card details pages. What is phenomenal about Hobby Flipper that you won't find in any other platform that tracks sports card data is essentially the fact that it does the work for you. Let me show you what I mean. So if you want to look at a Jalen Hurts card, for example, and you want to look at, what's the opportunity to go from raw to grade on the Optic Hollow 2020, just for example. Now you click this card, you see it's automatically doing comparisons for you up at the top here. It's saying, okay, raw, since you clicked on raw, the last sale was $24.50 on June 29th, 2026. The average in the last 30 days is $39.57. It's immediately telling you, you don't have to do any of the work. It's doing the work for you. It's immediately telling you that you should not grade the PSA. You should not grade at PSA for this particular card because the ROI is a negative 37.75%. So it's going to give you a thumbs down for PSA. For SGC, it's going to say it's negative ROI 50.32%. Do not grade with SGC. For BGS, it's going to say negative ROI 59.52%. Don't grade with BGS. What are the factors here? Why is it giving a negative ROI? Well, our formula for grading sports cards includes a few things. Not only the raw to PSA 10 or raw to SGC 10 or raw to BGS 9.5 upside, but it takes into account the gem rate for each of those grading companies. So we are hitting the gemrate.com data and we're factoring that in. We're factoring in the likelihood of getting a gem at those companies. And then the projected average sale price based on what the gem rate is. So even though if you do get a PSA 10, there would be a profit margin there. It's basically telling you that you don't have very good odds of getting a PSA 10 due to a lower gem rate for this particular card, hence the negative ROI. Now, the other thing I like about Hobby Flipper here is that even though there hasn't been an SGC 10 or a BGS 9.5 sale in the time period selected here, in this case 30 days, it's still giving you the data based on the trend line and the last the last sale. So if you were to go ahead and change the time frame, then you would eventually see that there would be a sale represented here. The SGC goes from grayed out to boom, last sale in the last 180 days in this case, and you see the graphs and charts changing. And then, of course, over the past year, still no BGS 9.5 sale, but last BGS 9.5 sale of this particular card, October 30th, 2025. So in the all-time chart and in the last year, in this case, not the last 180 days, but in the last year, now you get all the data. A couple more things about the card details pages themselves, and then I want to show you a couple other amazing examples of the calculations that Hobby Flipper does for you to take action. Hobby Flipper is about actionable insights. When you hover over, you actually see all of the sales on that day, not just the average sale, but you see all of the sales on that day and all of the sales data. Now, as you scroll down the page, it's going to start with top sellers. Top sellers, again, explained in another earlier video, is that concept of what's the best seller to buy from? In this case, Quick Consign is the best seller to buy this raw card from because they have 2 or more sales during the time frame selected, which in this case is the last year, for the lowest average sale price. So that is why they are the top seller on Hobby Flipper. Now, if you change the time frame, obviously you may get different results on the top seller. Also, you're going to see a list of all the sales. And this is important because it's validating the sales data that you see up here, not only in the calculations, but in the chart, in the graph rather. In the chart table below, all of these sales should correspond with the data that you see on the graph. You also see active listings. So let's say this was a green thumbs up go for PSA instead of a red thumbs down with positive ROI. You could be like, okay, well, I want to buy this card and make this play. You just click buy on eBay to go ahead and bid on that listing, or buy card on eBay up here, and it takes you to the opportunities to buy that card on eBay. All right, now another very important thing. Some of you may have caught on to this already, and again, you'll potentially see this from time to time. Although our team is doing an amazing job sort of cleaning up the data and keeping data integrity. Although I am filming this video at a point very early on in our beta launch, we have hundreds of thousands of listings coming in from eBay to populate the data here. And every once in a while, you might see a situation where, like right here, this card is actually a Don Russ optic hollow preview and not necessarily the actual Jalen Hurts optic hollow. And so this last sale of $187.50 on 6/23/2026, we should be able to find this, which is right here. And if we were to click on this view sold listing on eBay, we might find that, yes, in fact, this card right here actually is not the correct card. So what we could do, and what I would encourage any of you to do, is to we've built in this feature on Hobby Flipper that says report. So you should report this card, and this is a good example of how to do this. So you could just click report and say, this is the Don Russ preview, not the optic hollow, and then submit report. And now I'm actually going to show you the results of that action. All right, so once you report a listing, typically we'll be able to take a look at it, and you'll see that you will receive an email that says your report has been reviewed from Paul at Hobby Flipper. We've reviewed your submission. Thank you for your submission. We've reviewed and fixed it. And now you will then be in a situation where when this page is refreshed, now we have the correct card. You can still see it didn't affect things too much because it's still a no-go for PSA according to this, but we have cleaned up the incorrect listing and we have refiled it with the correct card, which is the Jalen Hurts Don Russ optic preview hollow from 2020. So that's a good example because those kinds of things happen quite a bit in terms of just eBay listings. Certain cards are similar. They have similar. Another example that you may run into is the downtown cards. So in 2024, Don Russ introduced these oversized downtowns. Every once in a while, you would see maybe an oversized downtown sale in a card details page for the regular downtown. They're obviously going to look a little different, have a completely different sale price. And so we're always working on cleaning those things up as soon as possible to give you as close to 100% data integrity as possible. So active listings, past sales, and top sellers, in addition to these calculations that happen as you click from the movements page onto the card details pages. There are individual hyperlinks for each of these, so you can bookmark them, you can save them, you can follow your favorite cards, things like that. And then one really cool insight, again, we're aiming to be the platform, the hobby platform that gives you the most actionable insights. So we have an auction sale price deviation heat map. This is just a fancy phrase for when is the best time to auction off this particular card. And so in this case, you will see colors. Any green colors that are dark mean that it is the better time to auction off the card. Any red colors that are dark means that it's the worst time to auction off the card. And you should see some pretty full, colorful heat maps here at hobbyflipper.com. And next, I'm going to show you some examples of some other calculations that the card details page do for you automatically to help you make data-driven sports card investing decisions. All right, more great features of Hobby Flipper related to the card details pages. Let's say you want to take a look at a raw to grade potential play. In this example, I've put in Aaron Judge as the player and raw as the grade. I have a time frame of 30 days, although you could change that. And you want to scroll down to see a card. So let's take a look at his 2017 Topps base. When I click on this card, it's going to do these automatic calculations that I showed you with the Jalen Hurts example. And you're going to see that, okay, $40 last sale, PSA 10 last sale, 335, and it's going to say go for PSA. There is enough profit margin there. So it is hitting gem rate, getting the PSA gem rate, and it's saying there is enough built-in profit margin and enough likelihood of you getting a PSA 10 that you should have a positive return on investment of 21.35%. So it's giving a green thumbs up on a go for PSA. Now at SGC, the last sale of an SGC 10 is 170. So it's giving you a thumbs down. You are likely to lose based on the SGC gem rate and the sale price of an SGC 10. You're likely to lose 13%, almost 12.87%. BGS 9.5, you're likely to lose 22.79% if you were to grade with BGS. So this would be a go for PSA, a no-go for SGC, and a no-go for BGS. Now, some of you are probably asking, how are you doing these calculations? Well, earlier on in the video, I mentioned that there's some gem rate data incorporated. There's the upside of raw to a gem mint grade, but we're also subtracting all of your fees. We're subtracting any fees that you would sell on eBay, any shipping fees, any taxes. We're taking that into account when we say go or no go for a particular grading company. We're also including your grading fee. So as I am filming this video, PSA is under a value shutdown. Okay, so many of you are familiar with that. So we are using an $85 per card grading fee for PSA, which means that, that is taken out of your profit margin. So that is the PSA regular submission level. So we're taking, this is very accurate information. And again, as you change the time frame on the card details page, you will see more sales. And again, your recommendation is up at the top. When they're, eventually, like right now in this video, you're not seeing the auction sale price deviation heat map, but you will see that in several cards. Again, being in beta, we haven't aggregated enough data to show for this particular card, but you will see that. I'm going to bring up a couple other examples of the auction sale price deviation heat map here towards the end of this video for some cards that we do have the data for. But I did want to also show you another example. So we're not just calculating the raw to grade plays for you. We're also calculating the PSA 9 to BGS 9.5 and the BGS 9.5 to PSA 10 plays. So for example, on a PSA 9 to BGS 9.5 play, I've selected Ken Griffey Jr., I've selected PSA 9, and I am going to click on his 1989 Upper Deck base, and it is going to automatically run the calculations for me here of whether or not a PSA 9 to BGS 9.5 is a go, what the potential win is, and what the potential loss is. So this is really cool. It's calculating all of this for me based on the last sale and trend line of a BGS 9.5. The potential win is $1,080.81 in a BGS 9.5 versus the sale price currently of a PSA 9, which is $431.65. The potential loss is 216.30. So this would definitely be a recommended play. Now you're seeing no sales of a BGS 9.5 in the last 14 days. But if we click 30, then we have a sale. The last sale was on 6/17, 2026, and you're seeing the last sale for $1,550. Which is validating the potential win of $1,080.81. We're taking out some fees, grading fees, and marketplace sale fees on eBay, things like that. And then that's why you're seeing the last sale of the BGS 9 being $344. The potential loss is essentially the difference of the sale price of the PSA 9, the sale price of the BGS 9, minus those other fees that we talked about. So it's doing all of the math for you, unlike other platforms where you have to do all of these calculations. Hobby Flipper is putting you in the position to just make the plays. Okay, now let's take a look at if we were to go BGS 9.5 to PSA 10, all we would need to do, we could use this same Ken Griffey Jr. example and go BGS 9.5 and click on Ken Griffey Jr. Upper Deck Base 1989 BGS 9.5, and it would show us the PSA 10 upside. So the PSA 10 potential win is $2,758.85, but the potential loss is $1,585.55, making this a super, super risky play. Now, the sports card rankings will likely be launched very soon on hobbyflipper.com. And the sports card rankings will be using all of these same calculations, and they will be fed into nooffseason.com. So you'll be able to get them on Hobby Flipper and on nooffseason.com, our new and improved sports card rankings coming on both platforms. This has been an overview of the movements and card details, really the card details and how the movements and the card details pages work together. Here's what I was mentioning earlier, an auction sale price deviation heat map. You can see here that the best time to auction off this card is really late at night, to end the auction around 12 a.m. In your time zone, my time zone being Central. So this would be 12 a.m. Central, 1 a.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific. And because this is such a iconic card for a retired athlete, you're not really seeing any dark green. I'm going to show you an example of more of an ultra modern card with some more dark green in it here in a second. All right, so here is Cooper Flag Topps Chrome Base 2025. You can see Hobby Flipper currently giving it a no-go for PSA based on the grading cost, based on the gem rate, negative 5.5 for PSA ROI. Now, again, like a $280 upside on a $15 card, like you would make money if you get a gem, but it's basically saying probably don't go for this just because based on the trend line, also by the time you get it back, especially if you don't get a PSA 10, you're going to get crushed on this. So it's giving you all the recommendations for all the 4 major grading companies for this particular card. And then again, because there have been so many sales of this card and so many like sort of volatile sales of this card, since it's a newer card, you are seeing some dark green on the heat map here. And it's telling you the best time to auction off this card and end your auction is Friday at 7 p.m. Central time. It's far and away yielding the highest sale. It is 59.9% higher over 91 sales than the average sale price in an auction of this card. So, man, amazing stuff here on the card details pages of Hobby Flipper. Definitely continue to watch these tutorial videos. Basically, #1 data source for making money in the hobby. Thanks for watching, everybody.